Hey, everybody. Great topic today about the future of telecom and telcos with Andrew from Porta Andrew, how are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me. You're in sunny Barcelona. I'm here in sunny Boston. So we are enjoying some fine weather, but we're going to dive into a topic near and dear to my heart on the direction telcos are taking with their BSS and OSS systems and beyond. Before that, maybe introduce yourself and a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey at Porta.
Mm. Hi, so my name is Andriy, but other people call me Andrew. It's a bit easier. I'm a software engineer by my background, and for the last 25 years, we've been building a system which helps telecom operators to launch and charge for their services more efficiently. And we've been doing this by providing source code to our customers to facilitate their own development. And During the time, I came into contact with various telecom enterprises from really small to very big ones, and I've seen a lot of very different projects. And I'm still amazed that there are entrepreneurs in the telecom area who come up with new ideas and willingness to create something new every day. And we're just trying to help them, give them a better tool to do their job.
Well, fantastic mission, and the industry continues to excite. I think you look at CPaaS and developer opportunities and AI and telco and beyond. But maybe let's go back a little bit. What tell us about the founding journey of Porta and where the team is based, a little bit about the history.
So the team started, the core started when I and my future business partners were working for Telenor in Czech Republic
Mm.
in the late 90s, early 2000. And It was a classical telecom operator trying to build more efficient solutions. And we had this classical dilemma. Do we buy a system from external vendor, which looks great in the PowerPoint presentations, but once installed, there are some downsides, and there's usually a cost to address those downsides? Or do we try to build something inside? And some of the things which we built together with the amazing team, I had the privilege to work in Norway. Um, just a few years ago, I got some email notifications from that system in Norway, which we developed in the late 90s. So it was still in production back then, 15
Wow.
years later. It's always a tough choice, and there are pros and cons. So with PortaOne, we thought of addressing those, and we said, well, we are going to produce a commercial system. In the sense, it's documented, it's supported, we provide training, all the good things which we associate with a commercial software. But we also give people access to source code, because it was this wild west of VoIP and people were trying to do a lot of things. So we wanted them to have full freedom of adjusting and customizing the software to their needs. Plus, it's also their insurance of all this fair policy for doing professional services and modifications. And that's what we've been doing for quite some time. Majority of engineering team is in Ukraine. I'm Ukrainian by birth. And Despite all the things which are happening right now in Ukraine, we continue to do our operations. We continue to provide support. So I'm. It's not a very happy occasion, but I'm happy to see that we did build a very resilient team, resilient software, which allows our customers in 90 different countries to continue their operations.
Wow, well, wonderful sentiment, and I'm so glad your team has proved so resilient. Slava Ukraine, and best of wish to the team. Um, so, what are some of the, as you see the industry today, some of the unique challenges and opportunities in the industry that you're able to address with your sort of unique approach to software? What say you?
Right now, the telecom in general is a pretty mature space. So in order to be successful there, it's you cannot just kind of
Hmm.
copy and do this exactly the same thing people are doing already. So you have to create something new. You have to go after a specific customer niche. And there's still plenty big pie out there if you know how to slice it correctly, that your whatever you do is going to appeal to the particular customer profile. And we have a lot of success stories of people who did it for a particular group of customers. And right now, as I see it for telcos, it's not it's not going to work for them as it was maybe working in the past when there's a one massive system installed and you have this like clear documentation and all this like process implementation takes 3 years, and after that you start selling your service because the world is changing so rapidly. So for telecom operators to succeed, whether they're big or small, I think it's going after smaller customer groups, addressing better their requirements. That requires agility on their project planning, on the execution, on how they do, and of course, automation, because we have this legacy of times when it was okay to have a DMS switch and have somebody manually configure it and then do some manual configuration for routers. It's just not going to fly anymore. And a lot of activities which we see now, it's about how can we optimize our data processing, our system connectivity in a way that it's done how it should be done in the 21st century, with automatic pipelines, with data validation, and of course, right now the hot topic is how do we put AI to help us inside of our network, and how do we bring AI to help us to better serve our customers.
Well, that's a fantastic sentiment. So let's get some insights on that. I mean, what is your process for, continuous engineering, continual software improvement and innovation, and keeping one step ahead for your customers? What's your special sauce there?
Something which we came up to that realization through number of years, and we had it independently confirmed by some of our customers who actually developed very similar solution on their own. That the kind of old paradigm of doing updates on your telecom network or on your telecom BSS, when you have this large thing and then you just prepare for this and then you push a button, keep your fingers crossed, and then your whole system changes. Uh, Not working well. I'm not going to be quoting, but probably you all remember incidents from the past which were very loud and how things were messed up. And things could be messed up because so many things are there and so many things you cannot really predict in the lab. You cannot test it beforehand. We're not,
Yeah,
and for telcos, we cannot go this like fully microservices way, which is also, in theory, it's beautiful, and the production operation gets more and more difficult. But what we came up with the idea that the system should evolve gradually. And instead of updating your system at certain hour, it's better to have in parallel running two systems with older version and new version, and then
mm,
migrate specific customer batches. That provides seamless experience to the customer, but most importantly, if there is certain thing which was missed during the initial testing, maybe it's a feature from this long tail which internal team forgot to test and forgot to check it. Maybe it's some creative way how customers used existing software, and now just that option to do this creativity is no longer available. But it's going to be detected early enough, and we will we can address it when it affected only 10 customers. Plus, we can immediately roll them back to the old version, which they were happy with, instead of dealing with thousands of angry customers because whatever they used to do is no longer available. So that was probably the main technology enhancement we've been working on in the recent years. We already put it into field test. We had multiple successful updates done this way. So I hope in future years we can help telcos to overcome that habits or mentality of doing updates the old style and switch it to this more like continuous integration, continuous deployment way.
yeah, no, it's a very modern, thoughtful approach. So that addresses the build versus buy kind of equation. What about versus other solution providers? Another lifetime, I worked for Oracle's communication software group, and every project, was a massive integration. tons of professional services. Um, is that still happening? Is that still going on? What are some of the demands from operators these days as far as time to market and time to revenue and speed of deploying services? What are they asking of you?
It is still happening, and
Mm,
we've been on a few projects where the customer, they have long list of pains with their current setup, and they want to get better. What turns out, the replacement of a software itself, like replacing maybe an engine in the car, yes, we can do it, and it's moderately easy. What comes next, it's how big of a legacy they have, legacy configuration, legacy products, legacy customer setup, and how much of that they're willing to sacrifice to have their operations streamlined. And
mm.
frequently it's a fight between the engineering operating team and the team who more on the customer side. They say, well, we don't want to change anything. The problem is, if you will not change anything, if you try to, you get this like brand new electrical car, but if you try to fit all of the habits and things which were designed, for steam engine, it's going to be very inefficient electric car. So right now, what we see in the project, it's willpower to say which things are going to be streamlined, which things are going to be some of the legacy products. Can they be just like sacrificed or merged into existing products? Yes, it is a bit of an inconvenience to do this, but to do it once, as opposed to trying to migrate and then maintain each of those legacy products. And unfortunately, on majority of telecom projects, that part, this is where most of the efforts and most of the go-to-market time will go to.
Yeah, it's really interesting insight. Talk about some of your customers. You have, lots of big blue chip, well-known telco names, Vodafone and others, but also lots of emerging carriers in Africa and other continents. Tell us about who you're working with around the world.
Historically, we've been very popular. They're strong with tier 2 or even tier 3 customers, so operators who were engineering entrepreneurs, because they had an idea of some new product and service. They want to deploy it. They were looking for a flexible tool to accomplish this. Uh, a lot of these names, the big names which we have right now, they actually came for acquisition of that operator, because this Goliath realized the David, armed with a proper BSS tools and proper attitude, they cannot win it. So they had to buy them to get them on their side. And I always enjoy working with this new project, because you always learn something new. Right now, talking about particular regions and situations in Nigeria, it's a very unique situation when government issued around the same time 30 new MVNO licenses. And
Wow.
part of obligations, they have to go live by April 2024. So this is like Olympic Games for MVNOs. They're all lined up. The start is given, and now they're going to run and perform. So very soon we can see a practical result, how different approaches, how different tools they have chosen, how different technology they put their bet on, which ones work better and which ones can drag people behind. So we are now very active in Africa in general, but Nigeria is going to be extremely interested, and also it's going to be extremely beneficial. The outcome, the insights we gain from it are going to be very useful for other emerging economies or other places where they will allow appearance of new telecom operators.
Yeah, fantastic. You forget how huge Nigeria is as a country, one of the fastest growing countries in the world. Really amazing what's happening in Africa and tech, and specifically these days. Looking at your website here, you also have this commitment to no hidden costs and transparency with customers. Is that your sort of philosophy, culture at PortaOne?
It is, and we still abide by our original rules. As I said, part of us giving the source code was not for people actively going and modifying it, because a lot of times customers work with us to get some new feature added, and it's typically more beneficial. This was more to guarantee a fair treatment of a customer and paying what it really should cost for some modifications. Now, of course, we are offering software as a service, we're offering cloud options. So it's not, I would say it's not as important as it was before, because with cloud, you kind of automatically assume, okay, it's out there. I don't really even know where the source code is located and which shape, what they care about, whether the API is available, whether system is up according to SLAs and it works properly, but we still maintain the same principle. And we do see this shift happening, not as fast as I would like it to be, that operators, they abandon that idea of having their own data centers with servers and cables. And every time when I visit customer, they usually like to take me to their data center with a sense of pride of showing this rows of equipment and blinking lights. But for most of situations, it's not the most efficient way of doing things, because yes, with the cloud, you get, if you compare with hardware cost or operating costs for computing, they're not that going to differ that much, because a joke is there is no cloud, it's just somebody else's computer, right? So the computing cost of Oracle or AWS, it's still Intel or AMD CPU. They're still paying for electricity, for all those things. But what comes into play, its ability to scale up. So if your product takes off, it's successful, you can put more customers on the platform without having to worry, without the system not processing properly to accept those new customers. And of course, something which comes into play and becomes more and more important, it's the human operating costs. Because ironically, right now, with AI tools and assistants, a lot of kind of like junior level jobs, right, they're done, they can be done now much faster, they can be done with an assistant, and you could do a lot of them. But the cost of more advanced, so somebody who is actually going to ask the GPT the right question, somebody who is going to build the right sequence to then put it in place, these people, they're more and more, it's less and less of them available easily, especially now with the economy becoming so global, right? Again, we work in Ukraine. We have more than 200 engineers in Ukraine. Wow. Before that, we would be only working with kind of Ukrainian job market and competing there. But now it's global. Somebody living in Ukraine or Vietnam or Mexico, they can find a remote job for any company in the world. So now you are competing for hiring IT talent with Google or Facebook or some other companies, which becomes extremely important. If you do find good IT talent, you have to put into the most productive use to creating something which adds value to your operations, to your customers, and not doing some mundane stuff like manual reconfiguration of the servers and things like that.
Yeah, great point. It's a completely different world these days. Do you care to share any particular examples of projects that you've undertaken that are high profile or breakthrough projects that are, really innovative or different? I know it's tough to pick your favorite children, but maybe there's some one or two you could share.
I have two actually. One of them, it came from, as they say, this usually for startup to succeed, the chances are higher if it's not people just sitting down and trying to make up something, pet food delivery via drones, but if they have a problem and if they try to solve it for themselves, and then they see, okay, something which we have can be given to others. So in our practice, and we deployed cloud marketplace of telecom applications. So for an operator, for them, if they want to launch some additional service, such as maybe WebRTC calling or integrations with Microsoft Teams or whatever, instead of them trying to find local resources and doing integrations and finding how to do it without messing up their existing system, we do it in the cloud for them. So it's all there. And so we have this challenge of how to run efficiently a variety of applications from different providers. for different customers and make it secure, making their deployment and redeployment efficient on using DevOps resources. So we came up with this concept about managing configuration of a software application. Because when back in my, I think it was in the first semester of computer science in the university, I've been told that application is a code plus data. And in the last 20 years, we put a lot of effort into managing code efficiently. So we have Git, we have container, we have a whole bunch of things for managing the code. And the configuration, still, I visit my friends or colleagues and I would see this like 6 figures DevOps people doing manual configuration. That's very strange. So we want to automate the management of a configuration and make sure it's done in a way that it saves developers some time, but most importantly, when the software is written, is deployed, it doesn't generate additional headaches or errors for people who operate it and deploy it. So that's something we're still working on. And the other one, it's our platform for launching new IoT projects. Because my business partner, he lives in Canada and he lives in Vancouver. So his problem was if you take out the trash can in the evening, there's a high chance a bear would come and they would toss this trash can and then you have the garbage all over your property. So he tried to build this device like hoverboard plus additional things which will take out the trash bin at 7:45 a.m. right before the truck comes. He succeeded, but what he realized, the process of from having a prototype until he had an actually working hardware device, because he had to order the circuit design and wait for it to be produced because now it's a shortage of microchips and shipping delays. And then every problem which is detected, you go into this several month cycle of redoing this. So now we have a platform which is stable, which works, and people can use it, deploy kind of almost any IoT service by just adjusting a few lines of code. So something that Raspberry Pi did for mini computing, we want to have something similar, but for IoT deployment, so it's a bit more rugged. It can live on a single battery charge for 10 years and so on. And for me, it's also fun because I'm stepping out of my zone of comfort of my knowledge. The last time I did something with electronics and radio frequency was back in the university. So now I'm remembering a lot of stuff I kind of forgot.
Well, such a fun anecdote. And yeah, that's really one of the barriers to deploying IoT at scale is the provisioning and management and billing and orchestration of all those devices. It really is a challenge. I think you'll have a big opportunity there. Speaking of the industry, in university, I've been in this industry 30 years, so I think we're similar ages, generations at least. And the landscape is so different for collaboration. I mean, you had telecom isn't just about telcos anymore. You have media companies and consumer electronics companies and devices like Apple and Samsung and others. How do you go to market? What are the partnerships and collaborators that are key for you to kind of get to customers, to support customers and their integrations?
For us, majority of when we sell the software, majority of the sales are direct. But we do work with system integrators, and typically their value, it's about their presence in a specific region, being able to offer additional network of contact, because also the world is global. And for us to be able to know how we can better help customer in South Africa versus customer in Croatia, quite different. We do have a person, and he does an amazing job for maintaining our strategic partnerships and the technology alliances, but that would be too much or to maintain all possible options for all possible countries. So we prefer to work with local companies. They know what is happening better, and they can offer the full package, whether it would be, not just porta billing for your customer provisioning and charging, but maybe this IoT mill for rapidly deploying IoT services, or doing something else which can make sense in the context of particular country. And also we try to invite partners to create their applications and put them in our cloud marketplace called Add-on Mart, so that something they develop. And a lot of times there will be a very nice solution which was developed for a specific telecom operator or just maybe a small group of operators. They use, they're happy with it, but they miss the other countries because it's a huge telecom market. And frankly speaking, operations and needs of an operator in Brazil are very similar to the needs of operator in Nigeria or some other
Mm.
place. So if they can reuse the technology, pieces or components or even know-how, that would be great. We used to organize customer conferences on site when people would go to Ukraine, and I hope we will have a chance to resume it soon. And people were saying that for them, one of the most valuable parts was ability to talk to their fellow telecom operators and exchange ideas, best practices, and just talk about what can you do, how can you operate better.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'd second that. Kyiv is a beautiful city, and I hope tourism, will reinvigorate the city again one day. So, speaking of get-togethers and travel, you have Mobile World Congress coming up right on our doorstep. You have the joy of being right in Barcelona. What are you looking forward to in the run-up to the show? Any predictions or themes, topics that you're really excited about next year in our space?
Well, I can predict it's all going to be about AI, but I'm looking forward to seeing AI, how to say, in a way which produces actual benefits. Because like usually with everything, there's a certain level of hype, which then goes down, and then you have the essence, the really useful things left. So we'll have to sort out from people who just put an AI label on top of their product just to attract attention to the people who really can use it and can apply it to create better products and better service.
Well, here's to that. I would second that. Practical AI is something we're all looking for next year. Well, thanks so much for all the insights, and you're very open and much appreciated. I know it's kind of take time to plan and come on these shows and take time from your busy day. And thanks everyone for watching. Reach out to Porta One. They're super active on social media, which I enjoy following all your handles. You guys do a great job. Well, have a great
Thank you.
holiday, and I'll see you at Mobile World Congress.
Happy holidays, yes, and see you at Mobile World Congress or some other trade shows, or see you online. By now, we're all used to this virtual communications almost as good as meeting in person.
Almost as good, face to face, but not quite. So, but we'll take it. Thanks, Audrey.